I rank the 3 best stocks for trading right now in this market, and they're great for making a lot of money and making a lot of profits because they're so diverse. You're going to be able to swing trade, long-term trade these, go long and go short. Let's get into it. So if you come over to my screen, I have 3 awesome trades here on my watch list. I have SkyWest Inc. And the important thing to notice here, I don't really know what these companies are. It's pattern that matters. SkyWest Inc., CCL, who doesn't know Carnival Cruise, and Lululemon. Who doesn't know Lululemon? Let's start with SkyWest Inc. So this is an airline, but why do I like them so much? Well, there's a couple of things going on here. Number one, I always like seeing a company that has a long-term trend going into the sweet spot, whether that's coming up through the sweet spot or going down. It means it's the start of a long-term trend that I can pay attention to. But also on the swing trading chart, what is it doing? It is bottoming out over here. So what does that mean? It's going to roll back up. So I have 2 options right now, and that's what makes this one of the best trades in the market. So I have 2 options right now. I can do one of 2 things. Let's start with swing trading. I can watch this and let this short-term stochastic run towards the sweet spot. What does that entail? Well, it entails getting some buying volume coming in, which we're probably going to get because we're bouncing off the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average is playing a role of support right now. So as the stock price comes down towards the 50, which it is, what do you notice here? Well, yesterday, actually 2 days ago, this was Tuesday, it hit the 50-day moving average and it closed above it. Yesterday, it kind of hit the 50-day moving average and it kind of hovered right on top of it. Today, it dropped below the 50. It's back. It's going to probably come back above the 50. But what is the point? You can close above, you can close below, you can bounce above, you can bounce below, but it's always hugging the 50. That's good from a swing trading perspective because it's probably going to keep this 50-day moving average as a strong level of support, and it can turn back up, possibly go to the 25, maybe creep a little bit higher. So that's how you can approach it from a swing trading perspective. Now, you can also approach it from a long-term trading perspective if you want to. We can zoom this out and say, all right, what do we need to happen here? Well, the good thing is earnings are beyond us. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Now I'm just saying, okay, we've been in the sweet spot for multiple days. That's great. What do we need to happen? Well, all we need is one good move down. I'm going to go to red here. We need one move down, taking out the low of Wednesday. I just need one move down. And if I get that, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to probably be off to the races. I'm going to easily get down to about $100. And then from there, you don't have another support level until about $95. And from there, you don't have one until $92. And then it gets really dicey below $92. It can go down to $80. It's as simple as that. The reason I like this one so much, it's very diverse. It's a very versatile trade. I can look at it from a swing trading perspective over here. I can look at it from a long-term trading perspective over here. That's very unique, especially in this market. So SkyWest is something that I'm paying really, really close attention to right now. Another one, CCL. You guys have probably heard me talk, and if you haven't, this is your first time, this is going to be a good teachable moment for you. You've probably heard me say the 50% rule. What is the 50% rule? Well, let's blow up the long-term chart here just so you can see it. This is dating back to 2020. Let's draw some lines in here. You have this, and you have this bottom here, right? And then you kind of notice that you have this area right in the middle that there's a lot of just black openness above here, right? What is that where I'm drawing these arrows? Well, this is called overhang. It's negative pressure that's pushing down on the stock. The reason I like CCL right now is that we have, and let me turn this back to yellow, that we have kind of this 50% rule where we can't break above $30. In this case, it was about $28. It's consistent going back to 2020, 2021. Cannot break above that level. We have hit that level. What does that mean? It means it's going to roll down. It's probably going to come back to this consolidation channel. So from the perspective of long-term trading, I really like watching this because it hit the top of its resistance point. You have all of this overhang pushing down on it. It is going to come back down. It is absolutely going to come back down. It's struggling, but it's going to happen. You cannot break 50% rule with weak volume. Now let's go to the swing trading chart. Now, if we look at the swing trading chart, what kind of volume do we have? Well, we don't have a lot of good volume over here, do we? We don't have a lot of good volume over here. We're under average volume. So what does that mean? Well, if you take what we saw over here and you couple it with over here, we are on the bottom. Now, this can mean one of two things. It can mean that we're going to swing back up, or we're going to finally drop below the 50 and the 25-day moving average and come down to the 100. And I think that is more likely at this moment in time. You can see it's barely hanging on here. One down day can push this thing down to the 100-day moving average. And I think that down day is more likely to happen than a positive day. Why? Because of this over here. You've run into the 50% rule. You have so much negative pressure pushing down. You don't have buying volume coming in here on a consistent basis. That's probably going to perpetuate this thing down. But again, this is another one of those versatile stocks. You can look at it from a swing trading perspective. You can look at it from a long-term trading perspective. And that's why it's one of my favorite stocks to trade in this market right now. Now, let's go to another one. Lululemon. Who doesn't know Lululemon? It's the clothing brand that has basically swept the fitness industry. This is an interesting one. And let's just look at the long-term chart just so we can see the wild moves that Lulu has had over the past, several years, almost a decade at this point, I think. Yeah, more than a decade at this point. But even so, look at this. You're kind of if we just draw a couple of lines here, this is a consolidation channel going back to 2020. The majority of the price action has happened in this consolidation channel. You peaked above it a couple times, you peaked below it a couple times, but you've pretty much been in this consolidation channel now. With that being said, why do I like this one? Well, I like it for a couple of reasons. Let's start with the long term, then we'll go to the swing trade. I like this one over here because we are getting very weak up here. So when I like to see something that is maybe in the overbought area for an extended period of time, I want the stochastic to be up here. I want it to be around the 90s. I want it to be high 90s. But you can see here, this has been in the mid to low 80s. We have this number right here in red. Mid to low 80s. That's weak. Plus, we have this gap to fill. Gaps always fill. So what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for 3 days in the sweet spot. I need this to drop into the sweet spot for 3 consecutive days. And then what? I need that engulfing candlestick. Once I get that, this is going to move hard, and especially going to move hard if I can break below these lows right here. Let me clear this out and just show you. You see low, low, low. Let's just draw a line across. If we can break below that, we're going to fill the gap. Then we're just going to continue to move down. We'll probably get to 314, 310, 305, 300, somewhere in that range. But this can be a really, really nice short from a long-term perspective. Now, if we look at it from a swing trading perspective, it's the same situation as these other two, SkyWest and CCL. We are hovering on the 25 and the 50-day moving average. 25 is the purple line, 50 is the yellow line. Again, we're on this bottom. So what can happen? One of two things. It can go sideways on the bottom, or it can roll back up. In this instance, I think it's probably going to roll back up. It doesn't have that 50% to deal with. It does have a lot of support down here. The 50, it likes to stay above the 50. You can see if we just date back all the way to September, it really likes to stay above that 50-day moving average. There's a consolidation channel here. The top of your channel is right around there. So I think that if you are a swing trader and you want to catch something like this, no, you don't have the best volume in the world, but I bet you'll bounce off here and you'll be able to run this thing up to 415, 410, somewhere in there. You'll be able to make a really nice trade where you can capitalize and grab a couple of percentage points. So when you're looking for stocks out there in the market, look for things that you can both swing trade and long-term trade. And what did you notice about what I was telling you today? I was looking at stocks that I was willing to go short on the same stock that I could go long on it from a long-term versus a swing trade. You can go both directions. It doesn't need to be a one-way street, but you have to know how to short if you want to make serious money in this market. So you may be asking, where did you find these stocks? How did you find these stocks? Well, 2 of these 3 stocks, actually, no, 3 of these 3 stocks were all found from community live streams. These were stocks that came from our great community that we have in Patreon. The link is in the description below. It's $35 a month right now. Give it a shot. There was somebody that sent me SkyWest, and I was like, wow, this is incredibly interesting. I did not think that an airline probably out of somewhere in the West was going to be my favorite stock to trade and my most potential stock to trade in the beginning of this year, but it is. Lululemon. I didn't think I would be able to find going short beneficial on Lululemon. It's happening. CCL, I did not realize was running into that 50% rule. And there was a great person named Steve in our community, consistently trades CCL, makes a ton of money on it. It's one of his 5 stocks. It's his go-to. He brought it to me. He gave it to me. Now I'm going to make money on it. Join the Patreon community. You're absolutely going to love it. And if you want more of how to look at these charts, how to understand the patterns, click this video right here. It's everything that you need to know about stock trading with me. You guys have a great day.